my beautiful friends. It is a typically gray, chilly November morning here in Stockholm, and it felt like the right day to make a big old mug of lemon ginger tea and chat about one of my favorite topics, and one that I've been mulling over in recent days and weeks as we enter this darker season of the year up here in Sweden, and that is seasons of low inspiration or low energy. This is one of my favorite topics. I love thinking about this. I am somebody who naturally has a few dips throughout the year in my inspiration that are somewhat significant. They last for several weeks at a time and are a little mysterious to me, but are also just a part of my innate rhythm and something that I've learned to work with. And I think at the end of this year for me specifically, it's just been a really big year. For those of you who are new here, I immigrated to Sweden at the beginning of 2022, which has been a really amazing journey. But I'll tell you what, switching languages, switching cultures, all of that is a really long, arduous process. It's the ongoingness of it that was really, it takes a certain gumption and ability to move through discomfort and vulnerability ongoing forever and ever. It feels like that really takes a lot of energy. And I think coming into this November, I'm feeling a season of not really needing to be out there. I'm not feeling like pursuing everything at the moment. I'm not feeling like making 100 new videos or trying to get all the attention on me or trying to master something. I'm feeling a lot softer about things right now and not wanting to have big visions for this winter, quite honestly. I don't want to be trying to forge ahead and push myself. I'm dreaming very small for myself this winter and very gently, and that is feeling really, really natural to me. And I think it's partly because I live in this northern clime where the clocks change. They changed this year on the October 30th, and suddenly sunset is at 3:45, and you really have to move with the seasons when it gets dark like it does up here in Sweden, and just work with it. So yes, that's part of it, as well as this has just been a year of ongoing learning and ongoing unraveling of one way of being in my life and learning a completely new way of doing it. So I understand the natural way that this is working through me. But with that, it got me really thinking about this idea of seasons of low inspiration or not feeling like pushing forward. Maybe it is low energy. And I think this conversation is going to be really good for anybody who is just at a point where you don't really know where the road is taking you. You don't really know what is next, how to work through this life. Or maybe you're just feeling like, yeah, I just don't have a motivation to keep moving forward. I don't feel like I know what the next work project is or why I want to do it. For me, I think about this as a season where I'm really in my space blobness, which is a phrase that some of you have probably heard me use. You are my people. For me, the space blob, that's just my spirit. It's not very invested in all the machinations of being a human. All this running around we're doing. We're going to the tax office. We're going to the mechanic. We're forging forward. We're having a career. We're taking care of all of our relationships. The space blob part of me is just like, what are we doing with all this running around, right? And I think there are seasons when that motivation and all of that forging forward in this human life can feel very like, what do I do with this? Where do I go next? And I think along with that, there's a part of ourselves that is invested in this human life, like a part of our brain, a part of our nervous system, parts of our bodies are invested in we're here. It's important that we push forward and that we do things. And so that gets me into a really interesting part of this conversation about these seasons of low energy that are just kind of mysterious. What do we do with them? What are they trying to show us? What are they trying to teach us? And I'm sure many of you understand innately already, what your seasons of low energy or low inspiration are. You know, a lot of times they will come during seasons of great loss, of great change. They will also come with seasonal shifts, or when we're going through a season of maybe changing careers or changing what it is we do in the world. There's a lot of ways that these seasons can come about. They can also just come upon us in a time when maybe things are running along very smoothly and we suddenly just do not have the energy to move forward. We just don't feel that motivation. I also think these little seasons, they can be like little mini seasons too. Sometimes we just need a couple of days to not be inspired, to not be interested in things. And that is also really natural. But as I was thinking through this topic, I realized that I have a little bit of a pattern with this that I'm going to share. And I think maybe some of you will be able to relate to it. And that is that a lot of times I'll have seasons of inspiration where I'm like just going for it. I'm getting out there, I'm meeting people, I'm studying super hard. I'm making a lot of things. I'm just feeling that kind of fiery go, go, go energy. And I'll go, go, go. I'll push myself a little too hard, honestly. And then right after that, I'll have a season of it's almost retaliation where it's like, all right, well, I'm going to soak up as much rest and non-doing as I possibly can. I'm going to try and just reclaim myself. And I realize that these seasons of low inspiration for me are often in response to a certain cycle that I've been in. And I never really get the full medicine that a season of low energy or a season of low inspiration is trying to bring to me. Because I realize this. The whole word inspired, it's a beautiful word, right? It means to inhale. It's to take a deep breath. Like when we see a beautiful piece of art, we are around something beautiful, around somebody who inspires us. We are inhaling, we're taking a deep breath of that beauty, and it's the breath of life itself, right? So like being inspired is this beautiful sense of being able to take a deep breath in of something that gives us life. So being uninspired, of course, is kind of this suffocated feeling, right? And I think when we're feeling really tired and we're feeling unworthy of it, and the logical part of our mind that wants to control everything and make sure we're safe and make sure we're taking care of everything is very concerned about this idea of being uninspired and to feels really suffocated and really scared. And this is where the turning it on its head, turning this whole concept on its head came in for me, because I realized that for me, I'm not uninspired. What I'm needing is spaciousness. And what's actually happening for me in these seasons where I don't have a million ideas running through my head, where I don't feel like pursuing being somebody in the world all the time, or pursuing my goals, or making things happen, or getting to some crucial goal. These are seasons of spaciousness for me, where I'm living in the mystery of things rather than in the conclusion of things. And the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard said that life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. And I think that's such an important thing to remember in these seasons where we may not have clear, motivated path forward. We may not be interested in pursuing very much of anything. These, for me, are seasons of spaciousness. And we're so often taught, I think, in most of our cultures to kind of resist these seasons, right? So we learn about them as being uninspired, unmotivated, unwell, low energy, however you want it, however it's been described, however you might have described your own seasons of not knowing and low inspiration. We've been kind of taught to dread them as an aberration from who we truly are, as an aberration from the linear timeline of moving forward in life and being somebody in the world, right? And so a lot of us feel a bit of a embattled feeling about these seasons. Part of us really longs for it, enjoys it, loves it. I mean, I love a season where I just feel like I'm floating along a little bit more and I'm a little softer with myself. But there's another part of me that's very concerned that there's something wrong with me, that there's something that I need to be doing differently and looking out for. And that's where this concept of spaciousness, I think, really changes everything. It allows me the space to do the changing I need to do in myself. I also find often that when I'm needing when I'm in one of these seasons of so-called low inspiration, what's really going on there is I'm needing to feel some feelings, some things that have been building up maybe in the background while I've been busy out there in the world, in my physical form, doing things, right? A lot of times I will need to feel grief or frustration, or let an emotion move fully through my body that I haven't given myself the spaciousness to do. And with that is creating that spaciousness to allow me to change and come into my newest form. But because we've been taught to fear, or at least avoid these spacious times because they're irresponsible, right? They're not going to take the kids to school. They're not going to get things done. They're not going to make sure that we are being a responsible, good person, right? Like we've been taught all those things. We have been taught to kind of avoid the gifts that these seasons want to bring us, right? We can't access them because we spend so much of our time and energy judging ourselves about it and feeling like we need to be a different way rather than kind of leaning into like, ooh, there's some spaciousness there in my mind, in my thoughts, even in my body. There is this kind of not knowing that is happening that initially makes me really uncomfortable. But when I just take a moment to feel that, I realize there's something going on there. There's something really profound and important happening in this moment, in this season of low inspiration or low energy that wants a moment to show itself to me and to allow me enough space to move the pieces of the board into a different formation and shape. And I realized like I am such a proponent of giving ourselves some spaciousness, right? Like I talk about this all the time, a gentler approach to life. And yet when I have a season where I clearly need to process some things, y'all, this has been a really, really impactful, powerful year. There's been a lot of grief, a lot of stepping into, my late 30s where life gets more and more interesting the older you get, and you hit up against things that are going to be lost and are never going to come back again. You hit into philosophical questions and quandaries that are just so impactful. I have some things that need to move through me, right? And I consider myself somebody who is quite good at maintaining that, and yet I still feel like I'm realizing that I don't fully let myself take in this spaciousness. So that's a big part of what I'm doing at the end of this year as I move into 2023 is going to be allowing this spaciousness to be here with me. And that isn't to say that I'm not going to keep doing work. Like I think it's important in these conversations so often it's like, well, just take a rest, just go lay down on the bed or take a bath or cancel all your plans. But I know a lot of us have a lot on our plates. If you have kids or you have people that you're the primary caretaker or you have multiple projects, you have just a lot going on. I definitely have things that I have to keep, pursuing and doing on a practical level. But I think this is more about creating spaciousness in my own mind. And spaciousness around this feeling. So I may still be doing some of the motions moving through the day, right? I may also be incorporating some more restful practices, going to bed a little earlier, doing all of those things. But I might still be doing things in the world and still be moving through the world. But I will no longer be maybe judging that maybe I'm not feeling like the mojo, with my usual routine and all the errands that I'm running. Maybe I'm not feeling that, but that's okay. Like I can just allow there to be spaciousness there where I don't have to apply a value, where I don't have to be making myself feel a certain way about the things that I need to get done or the things that are moving through my life at this time. I can just allow it to be what it is and allow me to be what I am in a little bit more peace, and I think that's more of the crucial component of this than any logistical shifts that we may be having to make in our lives or wanting to make in our lives, is just embracing that spaciousness. So that is what came to me this morning as I was sitting here reflecting on life and just wanting to enjoy this moment with you. I think this is an interesting conversation too in terms of our Mars retrograde that we are in now, and reflecting on what is this idea of motivation and pushing forward in life, and why do we do it, and do we often steamroll ourselves through life, even in the way that we think about our own thoughts and our levels of inspiration, our levels of excitement. Is it okay? Is it okay to allow there to just be spaciousness and not knowing in some of those places that maybe we normally have strong impulses and intentions and all of that and energies put to? Is it okay to create a little bit of spaciousness in our minds and our bodies? It's a question to ask, I think, over these last weeks of the year. And I hope you are all doing so well. I will be over here taking my vitamin D, turning on all my cozy lamps and lighting, getting outside every day, taking long walks, and doing all the very proactive things that are important when you live up north like I do. I don't even live that far north. This is not northern Sweden, all right? If anybody is watching this that is from somewhere that's properly north, I'm like a little beginner down here in Stockholm. But you know, I'm taking it seriously. I'm taking care of myself. It's all really good. And I hope that this was a helpful chat. I'm going to be talking about these kind of topics a lot over on my Patreon, so I'd love to see you there. It's really easy to join, super low commitment, but also a way that I can offer you so much more. You can also find me on my Instagram and my website, and I'd love it if you stuck around here. We're going to have so many more cozy chats in the coming weeks and months ahead, and I'm really looking forward to it. Have a beautiful Mars retrograde and coming weeks ahead.